we physical beings, the physical universe that we know, the galaxies, the planets, the suns, the stars, all of this, even energy, is only 4% of the universe. Now, if you are only part of that which makes up only 4% of something, does that make you more insignificant or more significant? I will talk about that and more about how human significance has been rendered, well, we're pollutants. We're just pollution. And that is the atheist look at the human being. An honest atheist look. And that's this subject for the Ultimate Issues Hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Dennis Prager here, the Ultimate Issues Hour. And this particular hour is devoted to the following. The atheist position, and I'm not arguing atheism. This is not, I'm very precise on what we talk about on any given hour. I'm not arguing atheism, not arguing against it, not arguing for theism. I am making the following statement. Atheism inevitably leads to the utter and total insignificance of the human being. It is ironic when there are people who are atheists, call themselves humanists. I know they mean well. That is not my point. Is never about their motives. It is about the intellectual inconsistency. You can't elevate the human if you have a position of atheism. That is why I read to you from this New York Times Magazine piece that we are, as this great physicist said, we are pollution. We humans. That's all we are. We're pollution. We're nothing. We are worse than nothing. We're pollution. Does he love his children? I have no doubt he loves his children. Does he have friends? I have no doubt he has friends. That's not my point. My point is that intellectually life is pointless. It is pointless if you're atheist. It's pointless. Because we are utterly insignificant. We are undesigned, unmade, unformed. We have no soul. We are in the image of nothing except this tiny 4% of the universe, which is measurable. And that's it. We're pollution. Now, I believe that it ultimately has an effect on the way people do behave, and maybe not the first generation of people who believe we're pollution, but by the second and third generations. Because if we are truly just nothings, why act nobly? Why elevate? There's nothing to elevate yourself to. Nothing. That's why I consider this article in the New York Times Magazine so important. We go to your calls. Helen in Denver. Dennis Prager, thank you for calling.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Right.
I love your show.
Good. Me too.
Are these scientists that are telling us this now the same scientists that are coming from the same universities that are telling us that we're ruining the world with global warming? I mean, how can you have it both ways?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Right, exactly. What difference does it make? We're just pollution to begin with.
So it shouldn't matter. Whatever effect we have should not really affect the universe.
Well, it's certain. Oh, right. Well, that they would have to acknowledge. It will not affect the universe. It would only affect the Earth.
Oh, I see.
Yes, that's what they would. That's exactly what they would answer.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. And let's go to Nancy, a seventh grade teacher in Mesa, Arizona. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you for taking my call. My husband and I love your show.
Oh, wonderful.
I have been so weary of hearing comments from my students and reading in their essays, and this has been going on now for the last 3 years, how important the animals are, how the animals of the world are so much more important than their very lives are. They virtually worship the animals, and of course they're getting this from their elementary school indoctrination, and they're getting it from liberal parents and so forth. And the other day, I had just had it. I went out on a limb. I figured, what can they do, fire me or sue me? But I'm going to teach these children. And I told them that their lives, each one of them, are of infinite worth, that they are more valuable than they can even begin to imagine. that the animals are here for them. They're not here for the animals. That the animals are the creations of God, and they are His offspring. And there is an enormous
You
difference.
said this in a public school class?
I said it in a public school classroom.
Are you still employed?
I'm still employed.
All right, that's good. That's good.
But the things these children are believing, and I told them that if they understood their worth, if our children and our teenagers and our young adults, and if they understood their worth, perhaps they wouldn't feel so inclined to destroy their lives with drugs and with alcohol and to desecrate their bodies with tattoos and piercing and all the things they do, if they understand how very, very valuable they are.
Well said, Nancy. That's the whole point of this Ultimate Issues Hour. I'm not trying to convince atheists not to be atheists. I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe in God. I am far more interested right now in your understanding that if an atheist position must lead inevitably, and it does, to the belief that we are worthless. We humans are worthless. I have talked to you at another time about how life is obviously, therefore, if there is no God, meaningless. But please understand that we have no worth. We are, I love this professor's statement in the New York Times Magazine piece, we are pollution. That's it. What else pollutes? We pollute. We're the only things that pollute. The universe would be just fine, not only if we didn't exist, the universe would be fine if nothing existed, because 96% is non-existent anyway. That's the point of this whole article. But there are consequences to that belief, and the other belief, the belief that we have inherited from what we call Judeo-Christian values, is that the human being is created in God's image and is infinitely sacred. The human life is you are infinitely valuable. There was a Hebrew saying that I learned in my Hebrew school, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, for me the entire world was created. What a difference, the opposite of what's called the Copernican revolution. Of course, I have no problem with the Earth revolving around the sun. That's what it is. Why are we more valuable if the sun goes around us? This notion that I am valuable or not valuable based on the revolution of the Earth is preposterous. It's preposterous. One has nothing to do with the other. 1-8-Prager-776 is the number. And let's go to Phil in Long Beach, California. Phil, Dennis Prager, hi.
Good morning, Dennis. First of all, the science makes me laugh. I remember you talking to a scientist that admitted that the multiverses and the rest of it is absurd compared to believing in a God. Stephen Hawking, in his latest book, A Briefer History of Time, I believe it was on page 76, but somewhere along in there, said, and I don't know why it hasn't been noticed or acknowledged, that it is impossible to explain why we're here other than a God created.
Is that so?
Yes.
I will check that up during the break. Check that out. That's to come from Stephen Hawking? Yeah, we must look into that immediately. I thank you. I can't either. Alan, for another Ultimate Issues Hour, the question that we should raise is God good? God's existence is, to me, a given. It is the only thing that makes rational sense. But the goodness of God, that's a belief factor. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to the Ultimate Issues Hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Dennis Prager here. This is the Ultimate Issues Hour. The hour each week devoted to some great issue. And the one today is that atheism leads inevitably, not because atheists are bad. There are good atheists and bad atheists. There are good religious people, bad religious people. I say that all the time. But atheism leads inevitably, by its own logic, to the utter de-emphasis of any worth to the human being. Pollution, we are, as this professor in this New York Times article about how insignificant, another one about how insignificant we are in the universe. Not only are we infinitesimally small, but we are part of a very small part of what makes up the universe. Only 4% of the universe makes up anything that we can see.